Zeus, the Rise of the Thunder King, the Prophecy and the Devourer. Long before the Olympians ruled the heavens, the universe was governed by the Titans. They were massive, primal forces of nature, led by the youngest and most cunning of them all, Cronus. Cronus had seized power by overthrowing his own father, Uranus, the sky. But in his dying breath, Uranus cursed his son. He prophesied that just as Cronus had risen up against his father, one of Cronus's own children would one day rise up to destroy him. This prophecy haunted Cronus. Paranoia consumed him. He was determined to cheat fate. He took his sister, the Titaness Rhea, as his wife. Together, they began to have children. First came Hestia, then Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon. But Cronus did not act like a father. Every time Rhea gave birth, Cronus would snatch the newborn from her arms and swallow it whole. He imprisoned them within his own stomach, trapping them in a living purgatory to ensure they could never challenge his throne. Rhea was devastated. She watched 5 of her children disappear into the darkness of her husband's belly. When she became pregnant for the 6th time, she could take it no more. She fled to the island of Crete, desperate to save at least one life. There, in the dark, damp sanctuary of the Dictaean cave, she gave birth to her youngest son, Zeus. But Cronus was waiting. He demanded the child. Thinking quickly, Rhea wrapped a large stone in swaddling clothes and presented it to her husband. Cronus, blinded by his fear and greed, did not check the bundle. He swallowed the stone in a single gulp, satisfied that his throne was safe. He was wrong. Baby Zeus was left on Crete, hidden away from the gaze of the Titans. He was raised not by his mother, who had to return to Cronus to maintain the ruse, but by nymphs and nature itself. The nymph Amalthea nursed him. Some legends say she was a goat, and Zeus drank her rich milk. To hide his cries from Cronus's ears, a group of warriors, known as the Curetes, danced outside the cave, clashing their spears against their shields to drown out the sound of the infant god. In this rugged isolation, Zeus grew. He drank the milk of a goat, ate the honey of bees, and grew stronger, faster, and more powerful than any being before him. He was not just growing into a god. He was growing into a king. And as he matured, a single purpose hardened in his heart: destiny.
The Titanomachy, the War of the Worlds. When Zeus reached adulthood, he knew the time had come to face his father. But he could not do it alone. He needed allies, and his greatest allies were trapped inside Cronus. Zeus sought the help of Metis, a titaness of wisdom and cunning. She crafted a potent mixture, an emetic potion designed to induce uncontrollable vomiting. Disguising himself as a cupbearer, Zeus infiltrated Mount Olympus, the stronghold of the Titans. He managed to slip the potion into Cronus's wine. The effect was immediate. Cronus gagged and retched. First, he vomited up the stone that had been disguised as Zeus, a stone that would later be set up at Delphi as a holy relic. Then, one by one, the siblings emerged: Poseidon, Hades, Hera, Demeter, and Hestia. Because they were gods, they had not died. Instead, they had grown to adulthood within their father. They emerged fully grown, armed, and burning with gratitude toward their savior, Zeus. The rebellion had begun. Thus started the Titanomachy, the War of the Titans. It was a conflict that shattered the cosmos. For 10 long years, the new gods, the Olympians, fought against the old Titans. The earth shook, the skies burned, and the seas boiled. But the Titans were strong, and the war reached a stalemate. Gaia, the Earth Mother, told Zeus that to win, he needed to release those whom Cronus had imprisoned in the dark pit of Tartarus. These were the Cyclops, the one-eyed giants, and the Hecatontyres, the 100-handed ones. Zeus descended into the underworld, slew their jailer, and set them free. In gratitude, the Cyclops, who were mastersmiths, gifted the Olympians with weapons of unimaginable power. To Hades, they gave a helmet of darkness that granted invisibility. To Poseidon, a trident that could shake the earth. And to Zeus, they gave the ultimate weapon, the thunderbolt. Armed with lightning, Zeus led the final assault. He rained pure energy down from the sky, while the 100-handed ones hurled boulders by the hundreds at the Titans. The sheer force of the assault overwhelmed Cronus and his allies. The Titans were crushed, bound in chains, and cast down into the depths of Tartarus to be imprisoned for eternity. The war was won. The era of the Titans was over. The reign of Olympus had begun. The king of gods and men. With the enemy defeated, the 3 brothers, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, drew lots to divide the world among them. Hades drew the lot for the underworld, the realm of the dead. Poseidon drew the seas, and Zeus drew the sky, becoming the king of the gods and the ruler of Mount Olympus. The earth itself was common ground for all. But Zeus's rule was not merely about raw power. It was about establishing order, or cosmos, out of chaos. He took his sister Hera as his wife and queen. It was a union of power, though it would become infamous for its turbulence. Hera represented marriage and fidelity, while Zeus represented expansion and desire. Zeus was the father figure of the Greek pantheon, quite literally. He fathered gods, heroes, and kings. With the Titaness Metis, he birthed Athena, who sprang fully grown from his head. With Leto, he fathered the twins Apollo and Artemis. With Maia, he had Hermes. His offspring became the essential architects of the Greek world. However, his reign was not without challenges. Gaia, angry at the imprisonment of her Titan children, sent the monster Typhon to destroy Zeus. Typhon was the most terrifying creature ever born, a giant with 100 dragon heads, eyes that flashed fire, and a voice that sounded like every beast combined. The other gods fled in terror, but Zeus stood firm. In a cataclysmic battle that scorched the earth, Zeus defeated Typhon with his thunderbolts and buried him beneath Mount Etna. This victory solidified Zeus as the undisputed master of the universe. He became the protector of laws. He was Zeus Xenios, the protector of guests and strangers. To harm a guest in your home was to insult Zeus directly. He was the keeper of oaths and the dispenser of justice. He sat on his golden throne on Olympus, holding his scepter in one hand and a thunderbolt in the other, with his sacred eagle perched beside him. Yet, Zeus was complex. He was not a distant, perfect deity. He was impulsive, prone to anger, and driven by insatiable lust. His affairs with mortals and nymphs, Europa, Io, Leda, Semele, created the great lineages of Greek heroes like Heracles and Perseus. These stories were not just gossip, they were the Greeks' way of connecting their human history to the divine. Every great city-state wanted to claim descent from Zeus. In the end, Zeus represents the ultimate paradox of power. He is the bringer of order and civilization, the breaker of tyrants. Yet he is also a figure of chaos and uncontrolled will. He is the storm that destroys and the rain that brings life. He is the sky itself, vast, beautiful, and terrifying. And so, high atop Mount Olympus, hidden by clouds, Zeus watches still. The king of gods and men, whose nod alone can shake the foundations of the world.